March 5th, 1770. A quiet street in Boston. A single gunshot, and within seconds, 5 men lay dead. But here's the real question. Was this a massacre or a lie that changed history forever? The streets of Boston were no longer safe. British soldiers stood guard on every corner, watching, waiting. To the Crown, they were peacekeepers. To the colonists, they were an occupying force. Taxes had already drained the people. Laws like the Townshend Acts only made things worse. Anger wasn't growing, it was boiling. And on that freezing night, it finally exploded. It started with words, a young boy, an argument with a British soldier. Soon, a crowd gathered. Dozens turned into hundreds. Snowballs flew first, then stones. Voices turned into screams. Fire, someone shouted. But who said it? Was it the crowd or the soldiers themselves? No one knows for sure. And in that moment of chaos, the soldiers raised their muskets. A single shot cracked the silence. Then another and another. Smoke filled the air. Screams echoed through the street. When it ended, 5 colonists were dead. Among them was Crispus Attucks, a man who would later be remembered as the first to die in the American Revolution. But the real story was just beginning. The next morning, the story spread like wildfire. A brutal massacre. Unarmed civilians slaughtered by ruthless soldiers. Or a violent mob provoking frightened men into firing. Leaders like Samuel Adams seized the moment. They turned the incident into powerful propaganda. Images were printed. Stories were exaggerated. Fear became anger. Anger became unity. Even the soldiers' trial became a battlefield of truth. Defended by none other than John Adams, the soldiers claimed self-defense. And surprisingly, most of them were acquitted. But by then, it didn't matter. The damage was done. The people of the colonies no longer saw justice. They saw oppression. The Boston Massacre wasn't just a street fight. It became a symbol, a story retold again and again, fueling rebellion. 5 deaths that would eventually lead to war. History remembers it as a massacre. But what if the truth was far more complicated? Because sometimes, revolutions don't begin with facts. They begin with stories people choose to believe. And on that cold night in Boston, a story was born that would change the world forever.